What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Cowboys Culture Podcast. I'm here with Jacob and Steven, and I'm Ethan, and we're going to hear talking about some Cowboys content, and we'll get right into it after our sponsor.
Yeah, so again, thank you to 360 Roofing and Restoration, your go-to roofing contractor in the DFW Metroplex. That is residential and commercial. Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Well, hey, let's get right into some Cowboys content. This is Monday, the 23rd. We, took a break last week because it's bye week. Nothing's really going on. Kind of wanted to do both, talk about both the last game that we played against the Chargers and, what's happened in between then, which is nothing. And then kind of talk about going into this Rams week. So, Steven, why don't you get us started off with the first topic?
Yeah, I mean, hey, not a lot has changed from as far as the Dallas Cowboys. Nothing's really changed much since the brutal tail kicking we took up in San Francisco to going to L.A. to beat the Chargers. But since we took a little bye week break ourselves, why don't we touch a little bit on the Chargers game? I mean, great win coming back from it's tough to string together a road win after you just went on the road and just took an L like we did in San Francisco.
Yeah.
No excuse to ever play like that. But a lot to be said about a team that can go against a pretty good team in their house. Everybody knows LA is a Dallas Cowboy town anyway, but no secret it was more of a home game for us as far as crowd. But going into a tough game, they tell us Herbert's a good quarterback. I have hot takes. He's got a lot of arm talent, but I'm not never have been impressed with him. I'm kind of over everybody telling me he's good.
Yeah, which to that point, I want to say, I take the road that I hate that everybody else takes, but I look at it as we should have beat them worse. Like, we should have beat them by way more than what we did.
Yeah.
If you watch that game, it's not the Chargers, they didn't play to their full capacity. Now, Herbert played how Herbert usually plays when we beat him. He's not a good, I don't subscribe to the fact that, I think Josh Allen's a great quarterback, but he's not better than my quarterback. And he's not, Herbert is not better than our quarterback and all that kind of stuff. But when I look at Trevor Lawrence,
Josh Allen has an argument.
Yeah.
Herbert is he's a guy with a big arm.
Yeah, which we'll get into that whole Josh Allen topic in here in a second. But I wanted to say that I'm on the same side that you're on with, when we played San Francisco, I'm thinking this is terrible. I was in a point where I didn't want to do the pod anymore because I was like, dude, this made me so mad. I'm ready.
Ethan's been living in a tent in his backyard since that game. I mean,
yeah.
So, yeah.
And then when I go see the Chargers game, and I'm like, I mean, was there good stuff in the game?
Yeah.
Sure. Our defense was incredible, and
kind of typical Cowboys. You're just waiting for them to put their foot on the gas, and they kind of never really do.
What it is that I'm seeing Deron Bland be an absolute
an animal.
top 5 cornerback in the league.
Yeah, he's
I'm
good.
seeing. We talked about this. Bell be just an insane defender, at whatever level he decides to stand in when he's playing. And obviously Micah can call game and is the best player in the world. But it's just the offense. It doesn't make any sense.
It's sleepy
because you have CeeDee Lamb, who's clearly just dominant. When we decide to give CeeDee Lamb the ball, the dude is unbelievably good. They were talking about his drop problems a couple years ago, and it's dude doesn't drop anything. He catches everything. He's so sure-handed. If the ball goes to him, it's going to be 20 yards or 15 yards a play. But instead, for some reason, I don't know if it's just Dak's comfortability with Gallup and the fact that Gallup is just buns. but it's like, or if it's Mike saying like, "Hey, we're going to draw our third number," but then again, I think it's a Dak thing. You know, like I'm just talking about like what I saw in this game.
Are you saying because Dak and Gallup have been together for so long that he feels comfortable throwing to him?
But look at last year. Noah Brown was like heavily targeted as a number 3 wide receiver.
I feel like, you know, and we'll kind of get into this, but like I feel like too, like when we do put Jalen out there, Jalen Tolbert,
he's a dog.
When we put him out there, like he's out there to be targeted. We find him,
Twice.
Dak finds him, yeah. So yeah, I definitely would like to see more of him and less Gallup. I mean, Gallup's he's our boy. He's one of those dudes. I
think you should start alternating them. I think you should start alternating Gallup and Tolbert. But I think that
there's no separation in Gallup.
You know, what we need to do is we need to adopt the philosophy of the Rams. Let's just say, okay, we've got Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. And every once in a while, we'll throw it to Atwell. But, I mean, I don't want to talk good about them because we play them this next week. But
no, it has worked out for him.
Get that ball to Cooper Kupp. I don't care if he's triple teamed. I don't care if the dude is come back from an injury and there's a snap count or whatever it is. Throw the ball to him at least 15 times a game. And he'll have 3,000 yards by the end of the season. He'll be triple count, whatever.
Well, and
do that with CeeDee Lamb.
But see, this highlights the problem that we've been seeing, and I think it really came up big again in this game versus the Chargers because, you know, what we have to think about it like this. At least this is the way I think about it. We went into this offseason and fired Kellen Moore because of essentially pretty much what happened in the 49ers game. And
mutual decision to depart.
Yeah. Mike, this whole offseason, the thing was we're going to be able to win those types of games, okay? We come into the 49ers game, and the offense could not have looked worse, right?
Yeah, against San Francisco, we did look worse. This game than we did with Kellen.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't know how much worse an offense could look than what we looked like in that 49ers game. So then now we're in the news about all week after that game. Everybody needs to be cut. Everybody needs to get traded. We might be the worst team in the league. You know, all these types of things.
CD wants to be traded.
And what happens when you come into the what happens when we come into this Chargers game? Mike apparently doesn't leave the office. I guess I don't know what he was doing up there, but apparently he didn't. He was just asked everybody to stay up there. I don't know.
I have to pass him every day on the way home. I saw his car there the whole time.
But what did we see happen in the Chargers game? What was the response? The defense was absolutely locked down. Dak was channeling his Mississippi State self, and
running Dak. I like my running Dak.
Dak said, under no circumstances are we going to lose this game. Obviously, I'm not going to say the defense didn't help. The defense definitely played really well. But what I'm trying to say is that both the defense, Dan Quinn, as well as Dak, put the team on their back and won that game. Yeah, CeeDee Lamb.
What a game.
But what we're seeing, I think, time and time again, is our offense is just something about our offense is off, right? Now, everybody's going to say, oh, it's Dak. You switched offensive coordinators.
No, it's just the most conservative offense and bland offense you can have.
So I think the misconception with that is people think that just because you lose an offensive coordinator and you're still bad, that means the quarterback's bad. You can lose an offensive coordinator and replace him with somebody else that's also bad. And I think that we saw on live television with the Chargers, Kellen Moore's offense put up 10 points if it wasn't without that botched punt situation that we had that was really weird.
That if you noticed, I saw a game yesterday, and that exact same thing happened, and they got a flag for hitting the kicker.
It's weird, but
the
receiver.
What I'm trying to say is Kellen Moore didn't go out there with a brand new offense and a incredibly talented quarterback and do anything special. What we saw from Kellen Moore was the same thing we saw with them in Dallas. When you go up against a good defense with a good coordinator, he struggles. Mike, it looks like, and I think to your point and what you guys are talking about, I don't think that Dak is just like, oh, I just have to give Gallup the ball. I don't think that. Look at the beginning of the game. He was feeding CeeDee Lamb. But what it seems like is when the defense adjusts and tries to take away CeeDee Lamb, I think Dak does the right thing and tries to get it to whoever's Gallup's the one-on-one guy. If they're going to leave Gallup one-on-one as a good quarterback, that's the guy you should throw it to.
I saw Jake Ferguson. I saw Jake Ferguson open on several occasions where we tried to force the ball. And see, this, I don't think this is Dak. I think this is, again, we talked about this on here before. I think somebody in his headset is saying 13, 13, 13.
Well, yeah, because I think the way that this is what at least my theory about it is, I think that the way we are whatever our game plan was, and the way that they were playing defense against us was basically daring us to throw to Gallup, and I just think that Gallup could not win. I think that if you make that Tolbert or I don't know, somebody else that can win on a one-on-one as a number 3 wide receiver should, I think that we're talking. I think what would happen is after about the 3rd or 4th completion, they would stop doing that, and they would open up CeeDee Lamb again.
So we're out here hoping that we get the game where Gallup decides he's going to be like Mike Evans every play,
Well, but no, and I think what we're seeing here is that Mike McCarthy, and whatever our offensive philosophy is, and they say it's 70% of what we had with Kellen Moore. I don't know. Whatever it is, however you want to describe this, West Coast, Texas Coast, Kellen Moore's leftover scheme with some twists, we're not able to find a way to scheme or feature our playmakers. And I don't know why, but I think that's my biggest takeaway from the Chargers game is I think Dak stepped up. He put a lot of questions to bed. The defense stepped up, even with some key injuries. I mean, we had just lost. Obviously, we don't have Diggs. We just lost Van Der Esch, who's key, but they were able to step up. It's genuinely just like the question marks when it comes to scheme, play calling, as well as, and we'll probably talk about it later, game management. It's just there's question marks every week with that, and that's my biggest takeaway on why I think we saw some issues, because we didn't see issues really on anything else but just those weird play designs, stuff like that. And to me, that points to something going wrong with Schottenheimer or Mike. I don't know.
No, so this whole offense, Mike McCarthy's archaic offense, what he's trying to do, to his credit, what he's trying to do is highlight the fact that he has one of the best defenses in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So he's trying to offensively, he's trying to play keep away. I honestly think he's playing for field goals every time the offense goes out there.
Yeah.
But I think he's trying to conservatively burn away as much clock as possible whenever it's his turn to do so. And I think that offense, because it's so vanilla and it's so bland, that it's easily defended and it's easy to get them off the field. Now, when it works, it works. We put together 12, 13-play drives, go down there, burn off 3 plays after a first down in the red zone, kick field goal.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand. I really do, because I've dug deep and tried to understand the philosophy, and I understand it. I just think he's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've said before, I'm over it. I'm over bad offense in Dallas, or at least I'm over one-dimensional offense in Dallas. And this guy's had a lot of time here.
Yeah, I'm on the same wave. I'm over. It's not even that it's
there's just too many playmakers.
It's not explosive offense, because it is, but both versions of this offense were explosive. Kellen's offense was explosive, and Mike's offense can be explosive at times. But it's the lack of adaptivity. Mm-hmm. Is what we have not seen, or creativity is what it is. When you see Mike McDaniel or Kyle Shanahan, and you do not know what, you're going to see a play that you've never seen anybody run ever, Or freaking Andy Reid or something where everybody's in a huddle and you spin around for about 3 seconds and then everybody comes out in a weird formation and you throw a touchdown pass.
Yeah, and I don't have to see stuff like that. But
close to it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Something.
Something creative.
At least take your come look at your playmakers and because each playmaker has its own unique talents and abilities and things that they can do in a way that not many other guys can. I mean, when you talk about guys like CeeDee Lamb, you got Ferguson. He's a unique guy. You got Lipke. You got Pollard. You got Cooks now. I mean, you have such a diverse skill set, and it's like we're running some. It's like we cannot find a way to use those guys in a creative way that is explosive. And I just don't get it.
The key is Cooks. If we can get Cooks,
shout out to the Archer, got his first Dallas Cowboy touchdown.
Yeah, that number 3, man. I love number 3 is my favorite number. So to see him in that jersey and actually have somebody who's worth a crap be number 3 and not Noah Brown or Anthony Brown, it's awesome. But anyway, I think Cooks is key because if you look at explosive offenses around the league, I feel like the league is very trend-minded, like forward and like trendy. Because anything that works,
we all do the tush push now.
Well, I wish we wouldn't, but we all do the tush push.
We tried.
Yeah,
we just suck.
No, we've been good at it before because of how big and strong Dak is and how he may not squat.
Nobody's bigger and stronger than Jalen Hurts.
The dude, we were talking about this when we watched the game. They were talking about how strong his legs are while he was doing that, which they do every time. He was not even on the floor.
Yeah,
they
Goddard picked him up.
Goddard picked him up, and his legs were hanging on the floor, and he was floating. And they were talking about how strong his legs were.
Okay, so Dallas Gar, he's strong too.
Let's be fair.
But anyways, what I was gonna say was, we need to have a duo, a wide receiver duo, because we don't have that.
We don't.
Well, the thing is, I feel like we do, but we're not using it. Like. The Eagles have AJ and Smith. We do have CD and Cooks, and I think that is a legitimate duo. The problem is we're targeting Gallup too much. And like I was saying, I feel like
to be fair, we came off of that San Francisco game into LA and targeted the ever loving crap out of CD in that game, and he rewarded us for it. I mean, he wasn't a scorer machine. But he was eating up yards. Yeah. He was getting first downs. But at the same time,
has CD had a touchdown this year?
Yeah, but at the same time, what worries me about that is now that's all on tape.
Well, it's like the thing is it's like teams are basically saying we're going to take away Cooks and CD. You're going to have to beat us with Gallup, and Gallup's not making him pay. So they're just going to keep doing it. And instead of saying, okay, as the offensive coordinator of the Cowboys, it seems like our guy Gallup, as much as we love him, as great of a guy as he is, he just can't get open. So we have to throw in another dude in there or scheme, come up with some kind of different scheme to where they can't play defense against us like that. And we cannot do it. And so to me, that it's beyond the, Mike's holding back plays because, whatever. Like, we very well could have lost that game if our defense wasn't as locked down as it was.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert had the opportunity to steal that game from us at the end. I thought we were going to lose.
Yeah, I spent the whole game thinking we were going to lose.
Because I have never seen, I don't know if I've ever seen a game where we did more with the ball and got less points. Like, we were driving down the field and somehow it's like.
Against who?
The Chargers. It's like we were driving down. Now, I will say, we were driving down because Dak was making 3rd and 10 look like it was
I know
3rd and inches every single play.
And we honestly won in spite of Mike.
Yeah, we did.
Dak carried that. He shouldered that win in spite of Mike McCarthy's play calling. Very Mahomes-like. I'm not trying to compare Dak Prescott to Mahomes. Chill out, internet. But very Mahomes-like. He was being creative. He was playing off the script. And unfortunately, that's what it was taken to beat their defense. But hey, I do want to jump into that. Not to keep dwelling on the San Diego game, but I do just what's your ultimate take from that game?
I think that the take walking out of SoFi Stadium is we need to have the entire team sit down for the entirety of the bye week and watch film on ourselves and say, why do we suck at offense? Let's look. Let's break it down, and Mike is at the helm. And everybody, you need to bring the whole staff in and leave Jerry outside and say, Mike, you need to bring Will McClay in and everybody who's smart and tell Mike McCarthy what he's doing wrong, and we need to come together as an offense and have the defense go out, have a good time, eat some food, stay healthy, have fun, be with your family.
Have a barbecue.
Defense, go have a barbecue. You get a pizza party. Defense, but offense, we need to.
They're gonna have a movie. They're gonna wheel in the
it's like the little tiny sliver of pizza. But I think that the offense needs to take this plea. I'm hoping that the offense takes this week, evaluates it, and is like, okay, now we're dangerous. We figured out how to get Cooks involved and everything. Like, I just think that we need to go into this bye week or we should have gone into this bye week let's spend the bye week time not prepping for the Rams so much as correcting why we have sucked on offense so far and why we've been so flat-footed on offense. And now let's go look at the Rams.
But overall take from the game is just bad offense.
Yeah.
Here's the thing too, boys. My take from this game, and I'll be quick, but my take from this game is actually I think we actually saw in the LA. Sorry, I'm old. But I think what we saw in the LA game is that's actually who we are. That's actually who we are.
Yeah. That's true.
If the defense scores, we get to blow people out. We get to have New York games and New York and New England. So if the defense is going to score, then we get to blow people out. And then Dak and the boys will drive the field. We'll kick a bunch of field goals and talk about how Aubrey used to play soccer. So, and he's perfect in field goals this year and all that. But and every now and again we get a CeeDee Lamb or Jake Ferguson touchdown, or turns out Brandon Cooks is on our team. But I honestly, unfortunately, I feel like that was just the Dallas Cowboys in a nutshell. Extremely good, efficient defense. Not a bunch of sacks in that game. I guess Micah's game caller was the only sack, but not a bunch of sacks. D-Law stayed in old boy's face all day long. No, he wasn't running away from nobody. All right, the defense was smothering and never even put their hands on him till the end of the game. So that was extremely effective.
Mm-hmm. The coverage was good.
Absolutely. I mean, again, like you said earlier, Bland's one of the best corners in the NFL right now. Sorry, but he is. He's Trayvon Diggs' backup, but he's been great. Gilmore had the game-ending interception. He could have played a little better. He could have been played. I think we're finally seeing a 30-something-year-old Stephon Gilmore. He's behind a step, but he's effective, and there's no reason he shouldn't be starting for us.
Marquise Bell is just like Marquise Bell is carrying the run defense right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Marquise Bell.
Him and Jonathan Hankins and Mozzie.
Yeah,
Mozzie. I've been seeing some.
Big Hank has played his socks off.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And Osa, bro.
Yeah,
Osa is a dog, dude.
For sure. But I'll say
that dude gets better every single day.
If you play defense for the Dallas Cowboys in 2023, you're a dog.
Yeah, you're a dog.
But Marquise Bell, I mean, I don't wear jerseys, but if I did, I'd wear his. But
J-Ron Curse, you just need to shut your mouth, please.
Yeah.
Just don't talk. I get it. You want to talk smack, but you play for the Cowboys. They're going to throw a flag. Even if you're like looking up at the sky, like talking to God, like thank you God, like for your prosperity that you've given me, they're going to call a flag.
J-Ron Curse has he needs to shut up, and he also needs to understand like the way football works is like they start on their side of the line of scrimmage, and we start on ours, and that's how we start a play. But he's extremely confused about that right now.
Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys have to lead the world.
He's playing good, but he's got to chill. A lot of the penalties are just coming from either his aggression or his,
I kind of like. I can't. Now that I'm thinking about it, I like it, man. He's.
Yeah,
I know
no,
he's a
I
good
love what he
player.
does
Yeah,
for the
he's
team.
a
It's just
he's a good
the
player.
penalties sometimes are killing us.
But just to kind of
I just wish we could talk smack and not get a flag. So
Yeah.
stupid.
Well, just to kind of wrap up my take is, I really unfortunately think that the LA game, that's who we are. We blow teams out when our defense scores. They did in that game, and it took a really good quarterback to go out there and just grind out a win, and that was a Dak Prescott grinding it out.
Just on that point, they always talk about how we don't have the quarterback that can go up against a good quarterback. People have said Herbert's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, or top 10 at least, and go toe-to-toe and win.
Yep.
You saw it.
I mean, I've also seen Mac Jones gritty at the Pro Bowl. So every time
Was he in the Pro Bowl?
his rookie season, yeah.
Oh my gosh!
But he grittied.
That is just awful.
So, but yeah, and
He grittied. I remember that.
well, so Dak. They tell we come into the year they're telling me that Daniel Jones is good, so he destroys him. Zach Wilson.
Everybody's bad after the Cowboys beat them. That's
Yeah.
pretty much. Now the question is going to be: is Jalen going to be bad after we beat them? But I don't know. I feel like
because
they'll find a way to justify that.
Here's why: because there's not a ton of the next Tom Brady is not in this era of the NFL, right? He's not here yet. I mean, there's Mahomes, right? But just so different of players. The next, and Mahomes is already Mahomes, right? Like he's like, there's an argument to be made for like Allen and Burrow, who are like on their way up still. Are they going to be great, like exceptionally great Hall of Famers? We don't know yet.
Yeah,
because
right
they
now it's not looking too good.
Yeah, because they really haven't done anything. They're both having kind of off seasons now. But my point is that this is not a league that used to look like this. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, screw it, Tony Romo, Drew Brees. Yeah, this is not a.
Everybody's got rings. Everybody can take you.
Aaron Rodgers.
Everybody can take you to the bowl and win it. Like, the only people who you can really bet your money on to take you to the bowl and at least get you there and win is like Mahomes, maybe Burrow,
and maybe Allen. So, I mean, those are the only
I don't
ones
even know about that. I mean,
I'm saying those are the three. I think those are the three going into this year. You would say, if I had to bet, I'd bet on one of those three. So anyway, my ultimate point is that those types of quarterbacks are not, they're not playing in, they're not in existence in this era right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Dak honestly is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL right now. I know everybody hates that. I'm sorry that he is, but he just is. And I mean, that's the NFL, and that's the state of the NFL right now. But my overall take is that's who we are, and as long as Mike McCarthy is our play caller, that's who we're going to be. Mm-hmm. We're a team that heavily relies on our defense, heavily relies on Dan Quinn. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again: if we don't go to that next step in the playoffs this year, which is the NFC Championship, I know our team and that game are so intertwined together. And that should not be the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal should be beyond that. But if we do not at least play for a championship of some sort this year, my man, he's got to go. He's got to go. There's too many playmakers. There's too much money riding on it because we're about to have to sign CD. We're about to have to sign Dak again to whatever we can work out with him. So there's about to be just a ton of cap room riding on skills players. And we just signed Big 70 up again. So, I mean, something has to be done with all this money and skill on the field, and that just ain't going to cut it. But real quick, Jake, what was your takeaway from the LA game?
Yeah, so, I mean, I kind of talked a lot about it, but really this is just, this is my takeaway of that game, and also just a takeaway from – if I had to say, like, as of the bye week, kind of like my bye week reassessment of the team, And
that's coming up.
What?
We're gonna talk about our reassessments.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would say, I don't know. I guess, I mean, it kind of like goes into that. But yeah, I think that.
Spill your heart out here.
Yeah, I guess I'll be the first one to go, my reassessment. I think going into this, going into this game, we needed to see I think I agree a lot with what Steven's saying. Going into this game, after we just got dismantled by the 49ers, this was all right, this game, this Chargers game, we need to come for blood. We need to be ready. We need to see a response to what just happened to us on live television. And
they don't normally show stuff like the San Francisco game on national TV.
And, you know, I don't know how much worse of a situation or how much more motivation you can have to come back and really play well.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, the response was there on every aspect, but except for Mike. And so I don't buy this, oh, well, you know, whenever we get to the playoffs, Mike's got some other stuff up his sleeve, or no, we're just, you know, we're still working out the kinks. No, I just
maybe break a play or two out in San Francisco, you know.
I'm with Steven. I feel like whatever it is, we've reached the peak that we can with Mike. I don't think he has. There's something that's off, whether it's just his he's a little bit too old school, whether it's his philosophy, whatever it is.
It's all of those things.
To me, that's the problem. I think that Dak has done enough this season, and yes, he had a bad game versus the 49ers, but outside of that, he's played so well. He's been, even with that game, he's played more consistently than 99% of the quarterbacks out there. I don't think Dak is not our problem. It's the offense, and I will say that, you know, another thing that I've taken away is our O-line is questionable. And with those two things, with this offense that we're calling, as well as our O-line not playing super well,
quarterback on the run a lot.
I think it just makes it so hard for us to be.
Can I just say to that O-line point, I think it's a little bit of continuity. Again, these guys have never played together fully.
Yep.
You know, it's been 2-3 games.
Okay.
I want to see.
All right.
I want to let's take this bye week. Send the O-line on a little trip together, bonding trip
to blocking camp.
Yeah, blocking camp together. And to your point, you're right. We need to see some Dak have what Jalen Hurts has and still sucks at, with 1,000 years in every play in the pocket.
And just be able to think about this, like, just side note, or I guess small note here. How different is our assessment of the play calling and the offense of that game if the run game doesn't absolutely suck? Like, imagine if we're actually, if we're going to run it up the gut every first or second down, what if we actually did get like 4 or 5 yards instead of getting a -2? You know, the whole game changes. And so maybe, now, do I still think Mike is not really managing the offense very well? Yes. But maybe we look a lot better. Maybe it doesn't look as bad if our run game can actually do anything.
No, agreed. And I think, you know, here we are in this situation again where we feel like we have a really good running back behind Pollard. And I'm not saying Pollard shouldn't get the start. I'm not saying Pollard shouldn't get 15 carries a game. What I am saying is that he shouldn't get 22. You know, I'm saying that we have a 2022 version of Tony Pollard, I feel like, in Rico Dowdle, who is just sitting over there watching the game with the rest of us. Whenever we do put him in, he breaks off 9-10 yards, you know, and it feels very vintage Tony Pollard.
Mm-hmm.
So a Tony Pollard who, I said this back when we were going through our divorce with Zeke. Okay, if Zeke's not the guy, it is my opinion that Tony Pollard is not a feature back in the NFL. He's really, really good. He should split carries with somebody, and he should get a lot of that load. But he is not a dude that can take on 20 runs a game week after week after week. He's just not. He's not that person. He's not a brick wall like Zeke was. You know, hey, Zeke is still making a career out of he's going to outmuscle you, you know. And I think that lacks in Tony Pollard. So anyway, and then back to the offensive line, we get in situations where we got to throw the football, and we're going through these boring old progressions coming back to, you know, Gallup. But I think we're asking a lot of that line. But I'll also say this: that's a high-paid offensive line. There's literal Hall of Famers on that offensive line. No excuse. We got to be better than that.
Yeah, that's a huge problem.
So, yeah. But Terrence needs to step up.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
but Tyron, I feel like Tyron, out of everybody on that line, Tyron has played probably the worst so far.
Yeah, except for
maybe him and Terrence,
where he's doing that downfield blocking. There's no better guy in the NFL, and he's still extremely awesome at that. Watching him block dudes 5-6 yards down the line, but yeah, as far as just pass protection,
yeah.
it's been absolute buns. But
no cap,
no cap, bro. But I will say this: Terrence Steele's the worst offensive lineman on this team. Starting offensive lineman. Tyler's played well.
Tyler's looking like the best.
And
Tyler Smith.
Yes, Tyler Smith has played absolutely great. Tyron Smith needs to step it up, but he's totally capable of that, I assure you. You know, if he doesn't, you know, break his leg playing video games. But
yeah. And then you got Zach.
And then you have Zach, who, you know, and by the way, Biotish coming back from the injury, looks fine, you know, whatever. He's played all right. But Zach also, like Tyron Smith, like, dude, step it up, you know. Come on. You guys are supposed to be, I mean, you guys are regarded as future Hall of Famers, like first ballot type stuff. So,
and it's not like for O linemen they're really like old. Like
no, they're
still the best in their own right.
We just asked Zach to do it for 2 more years. You know? So anyway, moving on from that, I do want us to quickly try to kind of reassess what we think of the team. We came out of training camp thinking Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. I don't think, you know, nobody in their right mind, you know, we were talking, Ethan was talking 16-1, you know, and that was a maybe, you know,
all right.
So
15-2,
right? Yeah, so no, so you know, let's kind of take a step back. Let's take a breath. We clearly are not a very good offensive football team, you know. But hey, you know, you look at games like, you know. Just taking a quick look around the league, and everybody you thought that was headed for a Super Bowl, San Francisco, not invincible. The Eagles are totally capable of losing to Zach Wilson and the New York Jets, who we absolutely destroyed. We don't get credit for that. They get credit for losing because they lost to a good defense, but they tell us that it's just the Jets when we totally dismantled them. But anyway. Moving on from that, and being a bitter Cowboys fan, but just again, quickly looking around the league, the Dolphins are not invincible. The Eagles are not invincible. The 49ers are not invincible. The Lions are certainly not invincible. So, you know, you're taking a look around the league at these teams that are competing. I mean, the Chiefs are still the Chiefs, man. They're just going to go out there and grind out a win. There's something about them, and there's something about Mahomes that. And to be fair, Travis Kelce, who is extremely creative as a ball catcher, you know, I learned a few things about him over the weekend about just dude will just completely play off script, and Mahomes is expecting him to. I mean, they've been together for so long, but I don't know why they're not on a collision course for the Super Bowl. They don't have anybody standing in their way anymore. The Bills and the Bengals are not the Bills and the Bengals we're used to. So just taking a quick, you know, Cowboys bye week 1 after 6 games, taking a quick look around the league. I don't feel as bad as I did coming out of the San Francisco game. After the San Francisco game, I was like, here we go, wild card loss, see ya, you know. and God forbid if it's the 49ers. But I do feel like as we look around the league now after 6 weeks, we say there's a lot of teams in our situation. The Lions can go out there and get 35 hung on them. You know, the Dolphins, who this podcast is not under the impression that the Eagles are a world beater at all. I know the rest of the country is, but we don't believe that. And Jacob off camera earlier said they're a little bit better than mediocre or something like that. They're a little bit better than average.
They have a good roster, but they're limited by their quarterback, and it looks like their coaching isn't that great. And so it's like to me as I watch the team, it's like you have a bunch of talented players that either aren't coached well and are led by a guy that is he's not as good as you would want him to be as a $250 million quarterback.
I was gonna say they are trenches and wide receivers, and that's it. You're not gonna convince me that Darius Slay got an interception in the game and now he's incredible. No, the dude was getting burnt every single play on demand when Tyreek Hill was on him.
It's that O-line and those receivers.
Their O-line is insane.
They're going to keep
that's why
him in
they're good
every
at the tush push. And then A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith make Jalen look like he's an average quarterback because they are wide open every play.
And Jalen is an average quarterback. So, and Jalen, the way they lost to the Jets, that last play from Hurts, Dak Prescott does that. Dak Prescott stares down the other team and throws it directly to them to end the game against a mediocre team in the New York Jets. He's getting dragged outside, put on a stake, and burned to death. You know.
Did you know that? Did you know that? That's 5 turnovers in the last 2 weeks.
I mean, and he's
first of all,
but he won't.
And I think he's got 8 interceptions so far on the year.
And he's still.
And it's week 6.
Superior god
7.
of football.
So. Yeah.
But so I think it seems like
good.
what Steven's saying is that, and I think I agree with it. It's like my overall, like your overall take on the Cowboys in the NFL and in the NFC is like, it hasn't really changed that much in a sense that everybody has. We still have just as good of a shot, really, as anybody. Everybody, like, we've looked really great and we've had really bad moments. Everybody else has had, the 49ers, the Lions, I don't know if the Eagles have looked really, I don't think they've ever really looked really great. But every team so far in the NFC, including us, has shown incredible upside and incredible weakness.
Yeah,
and
so
it's like
the Falcons have had incredible upside.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the back's great. I mean, but I'll tell you this, like, it's still my opinion that the Chiefs are on a collision course for the AFC Championship and most likely the Super Bowl.
Even the Chiefs, the Chiefs have shown weakness.
Yeah, they've stumbled. They've lost. That opening week loss was bad. I mean, but
the Bills just lost to a team we beat 38-3.
Sure, but I mean, my point with the Chiefs, real quick, and I don't care a ton about them, but it's just. Man, as long as 15 has 2 legs, they're going to find a way to win. Moving on from that and moving on from the rest of the league, Ethan, coming out of camp, you were 16-1, Super Bowl or bust. That's clearly not the case at this point. We got a long way to go. But just sitting back and looking at the first 6 weeks, what's your assessment of the Cowboys and kind of what do you feel like we're going to see the rest of the way?
I think that it calls for, like I've said, improvement on the offense, and
a lot of film study.
We've had to, we've had to adjust, and we've done really. I mean, man, if Mike doesn't stick around next year, you have to put Dan Quinn at head coach. Man, the dude has not only worked through multiple injuries on like major injury, like your pivotal linebacker, your cornerstone cornerback goes down for the season, and somehow you raise up a guy who was a late round draft pick and make him probably one of the best cornerbacks in the league. It's just like he's a leader of men. He's unbelievable. Now on the offense, the offense just if we can take these 6-week sample size, go into the bye week, like I said, and just come out different. Well, I still think that I still think that a Super Bowl is in our cards because we are now seeing what it takes with a solid defense in the Cleveland Browns, which we have.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't perform that day.
Yeah.
Because we just lost Trayvon like the week before, so we're adjusting. But we know people know how to beat the Niners now.
Mm-hmm.
People know how to hold that offense to a small margin and to score on that defense. And so I think that that's the only team better than us in the NFC. I don't think I don't subscribe to the fact that Jared Goff won't Jared Goff it when we play him and do his Kirk Cousins stuff. And like people try and say Dak does, but he doesn't. Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins, when the game is on the line, they're going to trip over their O-lineman and fumble the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
And so
they're a really good football team.
Absolutely.
And Jared Goff is exceptional.
Right.
He's fine. But you're right about they're not ready.
Yeah. And here's the thing is the only two teams in the NFL that I think could come or go, we go there or they come to our house and they just beat us down is probably the Chiefs and the Niners.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Bills can beat us. I don't think partially because of their injuries and stuff and whatever, but there isn't a team that I think that can beat us in those scenarios. So we just kind of have to hope that the Chiefs don't end up in the Super Bowl and that the Niners aren't in the NFC Championship.
First time we've seen Josh Allen in his career kind of really just struggling, can't figure it out. It's kind of wild. Same for Burrow and the rest of the Bengals, but when he's had his wishy-washy where he'll go out there and be Joe Burrow for you, and then he'll show up the next week and can't complete a pass and they don't score a touchdown. So anyway.
But yeah, I'm sorry. That's how I feel is that we are still a upper echelon team. But as the Cowboys, when you see the Cowboys struggle, it's all in your face all the time. So it's easy to get discouraged as a Cowboys fan and be like, oh, we just suck. Which if you're an average Cowboys fan, you're thinking that we suck right now. But we're a top 5 team in the NFL right now. And if we, you'll see. Well, you won't see because again, like Jacob said, if we beat a team, they're suddenly not as good. And watch, we're gonna play the Eagles. We're gonna beat the crap out of them, and they're gonna say, "Well, Jalen's been hurt and his knee and whatever." And that's what you deal with at the Cowboys. So you're constantly thinking that we suck. So, from me as a real Cowboys fan, I know we're an incredible team. We just need to be creative and patch up our offense, get Cooks involved. I still think that we have the capability of putting 40-plus points as an offense on people. We just need to our play calling needs to be more creative, and I think Mike has that because I've seen a little bit of it at times, kind of, but like I need to see it like every down.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Still contenders, still, offense has to be better. I really think a Super Bowl winning ego stands in the way of changing a philosophy midseason. Yeah. I don't think you're going to see that. I think when you do see big-time plays, big-time splashes, I think that's more Dak Prescott improvising. I don't think that Mike McCarthy drew up the look to Cooks that he scored on 2 Monday nights ago,
and it didn't look like it either.
No, so that was Dak. That was Dak seeing a world champion long baller on a man coverage situation. He wasn't passing that up. So I don't think you're going to see much of it, a change offensively. I can just only hope that they decide that Jalen Tolbert and the likes of Rico Dowdle need more time on the field. Jacob, you'll disagree with this. Turpin makes everybody nervous, but gosh, when I watch the Dolphins utilize people's speed like they do, I'm like, man, we have a guy like that, and he has had flashes of just incredible speed on display. on the offense, not just special teams, but and he's scored and this year, but just to wrap up Ethan's point, I mean, I just couldn't agree with you more, E. I just think that whether McCarthy has it in him or not, I think we're going to have to lean on the quarterback to be the offense for a while, because I just think Mike McCarthy, like all big-time coaches, this guy walks around, has a Super Bowl ring. Just, who are you to question how I call an offense? But anyway, Jake, just same question. I mean, what's your take after 6 weeks, and kind of where do you think we were? You know, you were high on us coming out of camp, and this is kind of what we've seen after 6 weeks. So where you feel like we're at? Yeah.
So I've had a lot of change in my perspective for a couple of reasons. It's because, number one, I came in with some assumptions that, first off, if we kept our some core guys, there was like 5 or 6 core guys that I felt like, if we can have injuries all over the place, but if we keep these guys, I think we can we won't have a drop off in our ability.
Let's just net Dak, Pollard, Micah, Diggs.
Well, Diggs, Micah, CD, Dak, and I think it was really those guys. And Brandon Cooks. I felt like he was somebody that we were really going to need as a secondary playmaker if we were going to make that next jump. And it just so happens that we lost Diggs, and so whether we like it or not, it has impacted our defense. I think we can see that. Dan Quinn's doing a good job to hide that, to say the least, to hide that. But you just can't lose. Diggs was playing at a top 3, if not top 1 level, and it's just anyways. So I think that the assumption, if we could stay healthy, is hurting us. Number 2, I was assuming that if we got rid of Kellen Moore, it would fix this inconsistency and questionable offensive problem. And to me, it helped, but it didn't fix that problem. I was assuming that
it fixed the interception issue.
I was under the assumption.
It's extremely conservative, so it did.
I was under the assumption that when we came into this offseason, now with Cooks, now with a fully healthy O-line, that we were going to be far and away better than everybody else. Like, I just thought we were going to be like just dominant, right? But what we've seen, I think, that has kind of changed my perspective in a sense of the gap between us and everybody else that I thought we had was, number one, my perspective on how Mike and Schottenheimer's ability to utilize our playmakers and scheme up a better offense.
What does
was
Brian
wrong.
Schottenheimer do?
Like, for example, your point, you were saying,
what does he do?
I don't know, but you were saying, you would want to see more Turpin. You like the way the Dolphins use that speed, but see, that's the key phrase there. The way the Dolphins use that speed, we don't find a way. We can have guys with speed, and for whatever reason, we don't find a way to use them. And if we do, it's very few and far between. And so,
fair point.
My point is that, number one, whatever it is with the offensive scheme, I don't believe it's Dak. It's something with our play calling and scheme is not right still. And also, my last thing is, I think my assumption on the team was really based off of a big part of it was based off of our trenches. I think that I was really assuming that, man, our O-line is going to be scary when everybody gets back. And yeah, sure, we could give them a little more time. They've only had a couple games together. But the O-line has definitely not been what I've expected.
No, Dax had to bail them out too.
Yeah. And I will say, the defense has been playing good, but let's be honest. I think if we're really honest with ourselves, we can say our pass rush has not been what we thought it was going to be. Outside of a couple games, we've had some good games, but there have been multiple games this year where it's like, can we get a sack? I mean, how much do those cost? Like,
just quickly, I'll say that Micah is doing his job, right? Micah is being a disruptor. Micah's being triple teamed at times and still finding a way to get the quarterback to keep moving away from him, right? So but I think who you're really preaching to is the D-Laws of the world, and just some of the other pass
Yeah,
It's just
rushers.
we're not finding-
when Micah has to come off the field because he's tired or something, or we just want to give him a rest, those guys should be able to get home too, like they used to, like
And
Lawrence.
nobody
and
is.
Sam.
But when he's out there and he's taking up at least 2 human bodies,
Yeah.
2 people are have to hold him, have to account for him. That means there's no reason somebody else
Yeah.
shouldn't be just collecting
Which
sacks. or
Osa
something.
has been picking it up,
Yeah,
but,
but
again,
it's
he's
just
a defensive tackle.
it's just we're not I'm not saying our
You're
guys
not
are playing
sending him
bad
every time.
Yeah.
Our guys are playing bad. We're stopping the run way better than we did last year, but it's just we're not able to get home as well as we would like on the pass rush. And so for all those reasons, the way in which I think we have changed is I don't see us as like these Super Bowl, far and away the Super Bowl favorites, as dominant as we once were. But to the point that you guys are making, I still see us as having as good a chance as anybody, because everybody is kind of in that same situation, in my opinion, where it's like they're good, but they have some weakness. And so at the end of the day, while I don't think I'm not as high on us as I once was, I still think we have as good a chance as anybody, just because of how, like we've been talking about, there's a lack of quarterbacks. There's a lack of consistency on all teams. Every team kind of has their problems. The Eagles have taken a major step back. All the teams in the AFC have taken a step back pretty much, except for the Chiefs, even including the Chiefs.
Well, no, I think for once the Chiefs are favorites just by default.
Yeah.
They're the least bad.
So I think going forward, I think that just my overall take is I don't have any faith in Mike McCarthy at this point unless he shows me something that he hasn't yet. But I really don't have any faith on him being able to change anything. I really think it's going to be our defense is going to have to continue to play how it's playing, and then our O-line is just going to have to step up. If our O-line steps up, which I believe could happen, if our O-line steps up, our run game will be better, and I think that'll open up more opportunities in the pass. So I'm just hoping, like I said, I'm not believing, Mike's going to 1 week like crack the code and figure out anything. I don't believe that. I'm just hoping that two things. If Dak says, like what he did in the Chargers game, I'm just going to have to put this on my back. I can't trust his scheme. And number 2, if the O-line finally, with our players that should be able to, if our O-line finally figures out how to work together and becomes who we know they can be, I think we can see, I think our offense can take a big step forward and be able to make a run. I really think we still do have that possibility.
Yeah, well, let's wrap it up. I agree with all that, Jake.
Yeah. Well, hey, we didn't really want to talk too much about the Rams game, simply because it's the bye
talk
week and
about it
everything.
after.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
talk about it after. I've got high hopes. I don't think that we should come out like a Cardinals game or like a Niners game, and I'm sure we'll blow them out and contain those wide receivers, and we'll be fine in Aaron Donald. So. Yeah, that was it, guys. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're subscribing. Follow us on Instagram, and let us know what you guys think of our takes, some of our ideas. If you saw something that maybe we should talk about, let us know, man. DM us, comment on our posts, comment onto the videos, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
See ya.